if you look back at addictedtosuccess.com, the first maybe 50, 60, 100 articles, a lot of them are about millionaires, multi-millionaires, billionaires. And so that was my world. I was immersing myself in, I need more money, need more money, need more money. When I realized that I could build my business, I could give back just by using my skills without even using money itself, and I could see that my contribution was making a difference, my value started to shift. The new model of success, which is contribution, impact, purpose, sharing your gifts with the world, collaboration, right? Collaborating together for a worthy cause. Not this old broken model, which is like, you know, rape the land, take from the people, sell from the stage. It's all about me, money, 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 bling, bling, cars and yachts. You know, like that's the old model of success. Give more than you actually think you can. That's when you actually prove to yourself that you have value and you can create more. You can create more money. We're all here to connect, and we're here to love, and we're here to share our value with the world. If we keep going the way that we do, we're just going to keep taking from the land and taking from the people, and there's only a certain amount of resources and content that we have on this planet. And so that's why it's so important to start taking the action now, not when it's too late, because it becomes harder then, very hard to make a difference. It's good to check in with someone that's higher than yourself, and not make it even this mission and this journey all about you. You can't bottle things up. If you bottle things up, you hold yourself back.
Welcome to the show. Today we are in Phoenix, Arizona. I am Rick Williams, and today I am here with an incredible guest. He is the founder of the world's largest personal development website. He has been featured in magazines such as Forbes, Entrepreneur, and Inc. magazine. He's an incredible human being. His mission is to help people pursue their passion and live an extraordinary life. He's one of the producers of Rise Up the movie, which I can't freaking wait to see. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Joe Brown. Welcome, man, dude.
Thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate
Thank you, dude.
Good on you.
Thanks, man. We are grateful to have you here because your story is pretty incredible.
Yeah, so I've had an exciting life, and I'm blessed. So
yeah, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
It's great to have you here, and I'm looking forward to getting into some of the good stuff. So we're sat here. We're in Phoenix, Arizona. You've just spoke on stage to literally hundreds of people. Yep. You blew my socks off. Like the energy that you brought to the stage was incredible, man. Like you just brung it.
Thank you.
So to anyone looking in, your life now, you're traveling the world, you're living life on your terms, you're doing what you want to do. Has it always been this way? Where did it all begin?
Yeah, so, 5 years ago, I was blessed with the opportunity to sit in a room with a guy by the name of Jordan Belfort, who's the Wolf of Wall Street. Like, not Leonardo DiCaprio, the actual original Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. And, this movie was based off his crazy life. He made hundreds of millions of dollars when he was 25 years old. He was doing it unethically, and he got caught out. And he now travels around the world and coaches others on how to do sales ethically and how to build their business ethically. And I was lucky enough to be in a workshop with him, and he challenged me. He got in my face and he asked me, "What are your goals for life? Do you have any goals?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Great. Goals are good for short-term achievements." He's like, "But you want a vision. You want a vision for your future, for your success." And really what he did was, in that moment, he really challenged me to cast my 10-year vision, my 10-year game plan. And I remember sitting there and just like writing page after page after page. I wrote like 6 pages of my 10-year vision. And I was speaking to one of my good friends, Peter Voog, best-selling author of 6 Months to Six Figures. He's an incredible guy. I was speaking with him a couple of days ago, and he asked me, Joel, where are you at with your 10-year vision that you casted then? So I'm pretty damn close to achieving it. I'm like 95% there. One of the things that was left on that was to speak on stage with Tony Robbins, Jack Canfields, and other incredible influencers and leaders like that. That's pretty much the only thing that was missing, and I'm doing that in February for the Rise Up Summit in 2017. So I've nearly hit the nail on the head, and I'm only 5 years in. And so that just really shows you the power of casting a vision and being very clear and having that clarity on what it is that you need to do to be able to get to where you wish or desire to be. So it's a game changer, and allowed me, because I started Addicted to Success from that day when I wrote out the 10-year game plan. It allowed me to create an online business that's now allowed me to travel around the world, to have the freedom. Initially, I thought that it was all about the money. Money was my motivation. Yes, I was inspired to put out self-development content, and I wanted to connect with like-minded people that were ambitious and inspiring themselves. But for me, it was really getting enough of that money so that I could leave my 9-to-5, so then I could have the freedom to create. And that's really what I realized about a year and a half in, once I implemented advertising on my site and was overtaking my current income in my 9-to-5, was that, this is what I really wanted. I wanted the freedom. I wanted the emotion that I got from knowing that I didn't have to wake up and have a pain in the ass, a boss looking over my shoulder, and the stresses of driving through traffic. I was driving, 1 hour to work and 1 hour back. It's 2 hours a day, 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month, 400 something hours a year I was wasting my life. And so it was that freedom, man. It's that freedom that I got to taste, and I feel blessed. And what I tell my students, my clients, I run the Mind Strong Alliance. It's my mastermind group, and on every call and every webinar we do and the training sessions that we do, I always just say, like, if you could leave this with one result, that result that I wish that you have and you're living within once you leave, is that you are courageous enough to follow your dreams. Because I know that when I built up enough courage to follow mine, my whole world changed.
What did it take to build that courage up?
To be honest, clarity was a huge part. It's getting very clear on everything, like the steps, of like day to day, week by week, month by month, year by year, how I was going to get to where I wanted to be. And what happens is, when you get really clear on what it is that you need to do to get where you need to be in your life, your brain and the way that your mind thinks, it starts to like reconfigure itself in a way, especially if you're like going over it every day. I was like visualizing my 10-year game plan, like feeling it in my body, like how I'm going to feel when I get there, and what I'm going to do in my 9th year, and what I'm going to do in my 8th year, my 7th year to get to my 8th. And so like I would just do that. I'd backtrack and really work out every year and as much detail as I could. And what happens is your brain reconfigures itself to serve you in a way where you can go out and make it happen. People say a lot like, the universe like did this and that, and it's like, really what is going on is a lot of the time your unconscious is picking up on it. You're creating this great relationship between your conscious and your unconscious, where you're telling it, hey, we need to start looking for more of this, so let's get it. A lot of people, they live very unconsciously in their life. They're like robots. They only think 5% new thoughts each day. And I always challenge that thought of like, what if we could think 10% new thoughts?
What helps you to think 10%? Or what helps you to think more consciously?
For me, it's priming the mind. It's really sticking to habits that serve me, like exercising and diving deep into self-development every morning. Meditation really helps too. So there's things like that, looking after my health, networking with other people, being around people that are playing at a high level. That in itself teaches me and really primes me so that I can start living more intentionally. A lot of people talk about the law of attraction. I'm all about the law of intention. So that's a complete game changer, and it's worked for me. It's allowed me to get to the level that I'm at, and allowed so many of my students to come through my programs that I get to train one-on-one as well, to really get to that next level.
You talked earlier about your mindset changing from money to something greater, and I know you spoke on stage about that too.
Yeah.
What was that shift?
One of the biggest shifts was really was that my values changed. My values changed. We all have, as human beings, have a set of values that we prioritize in our life. And my values changed when I realized that I didn't need $1 million. I had this whole thing because I was looking up to a lot of millionaires. I was trained by Jordan Belfort, and if you look back at addictedtosuccess.com, the first maybe 50, 60, 100 articles, a lot of them are about millionaires, multi-millionaires, billionaires. And so that was my world. I was immersing myself in, I need more money, need more money, need more money. When I realized that I could build my business I could give back just by using my skills without even using money itself. And I could see that my contribution was making a difference. My values started to shift. Money wasn't so much higher in the top three. My top three values are business, self-development, and contribution, right? It wasn't so much up there, right? And I always ask my students, like, where are your values at right now? What do you value most in life? Because every decision we make is based off our beliefs and our values. They drive our decisions. So yeah, get very clear on your values. That would be a pretty big key to success.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible contribution that I seen you make yesterday. Which proves that you live up to those values.
Yeah,
And you started a chain. It was one of the most beautiful things I've seen.
It's pretty amazing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was incredible. So anyone listening and watching, it was basically a huge check that was given out to an incredible cause of two gentlemen.
Yeah.
You remember the name of the?
It's called Renew.
Renew, that's the one.
Peter Kelly had donated $10,000 to these two guys that were bringing self-development into the Tanzania, and to really improve the education system. And that's what they needed. They needed that. And what I love as well is that I was speaking to Oswegi, the Tanzanian guy who came out, and he said that everybody back at home in Tanzania was so inspired that he was out there in America and he was sharing this idea and needed the funding. And he said it was just like, it was inspiring them. And so I really felt like, once the check was given, I was standing there looking at the check and it said 10,000. I was like, I need to put a 5 on that. I was just like pulled to it. Peter Kelly went first. She decided to give these guys 10K. I mean, that's amazing, right? And then so I looked at it and I was like, I need to get up and add something to this. Let's do it. It's 5.
But after you did that, literally, then there was one woman who got up from the audience. She joined you.
Yep.
And then just literally just like every single person, you're just talking like thousands, just going.
And it got up to close to 50K. Or
50 something K.
This is incredible. It just shows you the power of contribution. Because for the past 2 days, we were talking about contribution and giving back, and so they were hearing it. But this allowed everyone in the room to see it and feel it. And so feeling it is the most important thing. If you can feel it, that's something else, man. You've had an emotional experience with it. Yeah, you're right.
Hit your DNA. Cellular experiences, I would say.
Yeah, that's it.
So something interesting when you talked about you starting out with Addicted to Success, how it was pretty much focused on money.
Yes.
And from the outside, from just me watching from the outside in, of how kind of what you post about and who your key friends are. Yeah. It seems that the content's changed a little bit, and you've interviewed like everyone in personal development. Some of the most successful minds in the world, Tony Robbins, to Gary Vee, to Michael Beckworth. Like you've interviewed a ridiculous amount of people on your podcast and your show. Yeah. But it seems like your content has shifted from being very money focused to being a lot more conscious. Like, what has been for someone that is the founder of the world's biggest personal development website? How did learning about personal development take you there?
Yeah, I think we as we learn more, and as you create new reference points in your mind, you go deeper with understanding what it means to be successful. Definitely, there's a process of like I said, the values shifting. I also, for years, would hear, the more you give, the more you get back, and all this. And it's so like a lot of it's cliche, like people say, oh, contribution good for the heart, and so on. And I was like, yeah, it is. But I wasn't really 100% living it. And so when I decided to step up and stretch, like Peter says, stretch, right? Stretch, invest, or stretch, contribute. It's like give more than you actually think you can. That's when you actually prove to yourself that you have value and you can create more. You can create more money, right? And so when I started doing that and I started surrounding myself with people that are in that space, I realized that that's really where the power is. Like, we're all here to connect, and we're here to love, and we're here to share our value with the world. And this is such a great exercise we can practice over and over again, like tithing and donating money to worthy causes. And I remember I was walking around Vegas and I would just buy a bunch of bananas and carry them in a bag. And as I'm walking down the strip, because sometimes if you're walking from one hotel all the way down the strip to another, I mean, it's a kind of a long walk and you're going to come across a lot of people. I'll give bananas out to homeless people on the side of the street. I mean, it's just like, it was like I was practicing those things to see what it feels like to be in that practice itself, right? And the more I did it, the more I started to believe, this is true. It's contribution, man. It's everything. It's like you're proving to yourself you have value that you can bring to the world. And so because I understand the importance of it now, I encourage others to do the same through podcast interviews and bringing people in and making that more about the conversation. And Rise Up, the movie, which I've been blessed to be a part of in a big way. That's all about the new model of success, which is contribution, impact, purpose, sharing your gifts with the world, collaboration, right? Collaborating together for a worthy cause. Not this old broken model, which is like, rape the land, take from the people, sell from the stage. It's all about me, money, 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 bling, bling, cars and yachts. That's the old model of success. And so when you look at entrepreneurship now, even entrepreneurship is it's like conscious entrepreneurship that's coming out. These green technology companies and these recyclable companies, and a lot more people now are vegan, vegetarian. For me, I've been vegetarian for the last 24 years of my life. And I made that decision when I was 5 years old that I wasn't going to eat meat anymore. It didn't sit well with me. I was like, why do we need to eat meat? So all these things are starting to come to the surface. And I think people are starting to become more conscious of hey, we need to start stepping up. We need to start rising up to really shift the whole conversation that's out now around success.
Why do you think we need to shift? Why do you think it's important?
Well, because if we keep going the way that we do, we're just going to keep taking from the land and taking from the people, and there's only a certain amount of resources and content that we have on this planet. And so that's why it's so important to start taking the action now, not when it's too late, because it becomes harder then, very hard to make a difference, to change.
If at all possible.
Yeah, if at all possible, right? So yeah, I mean, that's why, Rise Up, the film, is so important. It's going to shift, I feel like, so many mindsets, and it's going to shake even the self-development industry up. It's going to make people aware of, we are about contribution and collaboration and helping others to find their higher self, right? The industry right now is full of a lot of people where they're just selling, and they're playing in the marketing space and selling greasy products. For the sake of themselves, just making money, which is, that's unfulfilling at the end of the day.
What do you see the future for personal development? How do you see that moving?
It's evolving, man. It really is. It's interesting, just this last 2 days with the whole audience at the New Way Live event with Peter Kelly, Preston, Smiles, Alexi Panos. We saw a shift in the room, and I think what it was is that there's new conversations now, new conversations around collaboration, around money, around service, around self-development itself, even thinking, right? How do you think on a different level? How do you tap into your inner genius? And it's so beautiful to see that people are getting the message, and they're also realizing they can tie all of it in together. There is no you can only just contribute, but you can't be about money. Or you can only just make money, but you can't contribute or spend your time getting into spirituality or Christianity or whatever it is, right? It's a common belief. It's amazing to just see the whole room that are so into this whole idea of let's just integrate all this, and let's do it in such an awesome way that we can be more positive about being successful without having to have all these the elephant in the room and this BS stuff tied to it as well. It's let's be real now.
Let's be real.
Let's be authentic. Let's
be transparent.
Transparent. yeah, which Alexi hit on a couple of days ago. I love that, man. It's great.
So, and let's say, because you've been involved in this industry for a long time, in 5-10 years time, what do you see being popular? Where do you see the trends going? Because that's where your mind's focused on, isn't it? You are very aware of what's coming up.
Yeah.
How do you see the trends?
The trends, yeah. So I mean, I was talking with John Leslie Brown, who is Les Brown's son, and he had never tried Facebook Live, and I was with him, and said, let's jump on Facebook Live, man. Let's have a talk, right? I want to introduce you to my audience on Facebook. So he jumps on and he's chatting away, and then we finish up, and it said something like 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000 plays. And he was just sitting there scratching his head he's like, when I speak on stage with my dad, with Les Brown, he's like, we've got to go and we've got to set this up, and the event space is paid for, and we've got to set up a whole speaker system and a stage, and he said even then we don't get 5,000 people sometimes, It's like, but we just did that on the spur of the moment on a phone like this, and I mean that's really like technology is taking it to a whole new level. If you look at like Tony Robbins, if he had his hands on this technology 40 years ago when he first started, he would have crushed it like 10 times harder than he did. It's just, we're so blessed to be in this day and age where we can use this and utilize it. But I think at the end of the day, we can have these trends, we can have the virtual reality, we can have online platforms. But I really believe that what it comes down to is, can you facilitate transformation in a room? Can you facilitate some form of transformation within somebody's life? If that's what you're here to do, if you're here to serve, if that's your purpose, to be a self-development leader or inspirational leader, can you get results? And so it'll get to a point where, yes, it's going to be very saturated in the self-development industry. I might ask Tony Robbins, what can we do that's really going to help us to weed out the BS and to really bring forth better speakers and coaches? And he said, this is the truth, Joel, the cream rises to the top. He said, if you master, not dabble, master, go all in and really commit to at least a 10-year minimum game plan and stick to it to really get good at this craft and really find your heart and find your soul and really find your message and find your unique angle and deliver that in such a great way, then you'll cut through the noise and it will happen. But the truth is that most people aren't willing to work for it. They give up. They do a year of it, they do 2 years of it, they might cash in. They fall apart because when they were cashing in, they weren't really authentic. People caught them out and smelt them out. And so it's like, how can I be an authentic person and work smarter and harder, and also at the same time be different by being more of myself? Because a lot of people aren't doing that. A lot of people are trying to be better than somebody else. I don't want to be Tony Robbins. I don't want to be Jack Canfield. I don't want to be Preston Smiles. I want to be Joel Brown, the best version I can of my own self. And so that's what the world needs. It needs everybody to rise up as themselves, authentically, and to really tap into their inner genius, man, to really bring forth their gifts, because it's a present we have to give to the world.
Why didn't you crash out?
Why didn't I what?
Why didn't you crash out? Why didn't you give up? What is it that?
Why didn't I give up? That's a great question. For me, it's like, I know, somebody asked me recently, or they said to me recently, they're like, Joel, you must have a really great life. Like, you just have so much fun. And I said, yeah, I do in a way, but I'm like, and they said, yeah, you're always doing this, and it just must be your life must be so easy. I said, are you kidding me? Like, my life is hard. Most of the time it's hard. Only because I work hard. I really work at what I do, but because I work so hard, when I have that time to have fun, my fun is 10 times better than it ever was before because I worked for it. And so I know that, yes, I'm going to be challenged from time to time, and I love challenges. It forms me, it shapes me, it molds me into the person that I am, and I've just become bigger and better and faster and stronger. But for me, I know that every time I do that and I get to that next curve and break through that next limit and move to the next stage, my life opens up just that much more, and it just becomes more and more incredible, and I get to, empower people at an even higher level. I look back at one of my videos. I interviewed Gary Vaynerchuk, kind of like a setup like this. I was like sitting, a chair here, a chair there. I was at the VaynerMedia offices in New York. I had like hardly any sleep, and I was sitting there. I was like I never usually do this, but I had like a caffeine drink that I was like trying to keep myself awake because I'd flown in from New York, and yeah, it was just like it was a night where I had hardly any sleep, and I was just like sitting there in the chair, and I was doing the best to ask him the questions, and I looked at the person that I was there, and I was embarrassed, which is okay, because if you're not embarrassed of the person that you were 6 months ago, then you're not growing fast enough, you're not working hard enough. And so that's kind of like the rule I live by. It's like, or even like last week, it's like, have I improved from last week? I don't get caught up on it, because sometimes you have rough weeks and it sets you back. but I look at it and I measure, and I'm like, am I moving forward? Am I progressing? And if so, what was it that allowed me to move forward? And then how can I use what I've learned lately to help others, to inspire others?
So before you started Addicted to Success, before this, what is it that was? What is like the? I want to get into what is it that's driving you? Like what was it that has created this human being that is just so determined on changing your life and then helping others?
Belief.
Belief
That it's possible. I immerse myself in a world of self-development. I had a great childhood, a great upbringing. A lot of speakers, they have this thing where they share their rock bottom story. They have this terrible life and they turn it around. You get even 50 Cent shot 9 times, lost both his parents and came out, and it's like, wow, powerful story. For me, for years actually, and I felt kind of like I wasn't enough as a person. I hadn't gone through enough to be a great speaker, to have a compelling story, because I had a great childhood. And I got up, this is probably about 2 months ago, and shared my story and how my mother had supported me and given me self-development books as I was growing up, and I was reading them and absorbing great knowledge. And he said to me, he emailed me after, he said, Joel, he said, thank you so much for sharing your story, because I've felt for the longest time I have nothing to say because I've had a great upbringing. And I said, this is the thing, what I can say is that I tell a lot of people, I'm like, I haven't lived in the dark. I've lived in the light for most of my life. I've lived in a great place. So what I can do is, if you're in the dark, I can show you what the light looks like. That's more important than sitting in the dark going, the dark is crap, how do we get out of the dark? It's like, here's a light. Do you want more of this? Because this is what's possible. And I think that's really helped me to move forward, and that inspires others, is that I'm optimistic. And even yesterday at the end of the event, just standing with each and every person with my hand on their shoulder and just present with them and listening to their stories, and them asking me more questions they want me to expand, and just hugging people, man. I hug everybody there. I probably everybody, I think maybe a good 80% of the people that were there, I hugged them, man, and I felt it, and it was and they were so appreciative of me sharing my message. But this is the thing, it's not about me, it's about them. I just channel, man. Channel the message from God, right? And it comes through me, and the room hears it, and they feel it, and they get to do with whatever they want with that message. So yeah, this is why I do it, man. Yeah. It lights me up.
It lights other people up too.
Yeah,
for sure. I've seen it happen.
Yep.
Okay, so we've been talking a lot about transparency in business, in social media. Why do you think that's important? Why do you think this is a topic that we should talk about?
It's a really important topic because people's BS radar is detecting at a very high rate right now. People are really picking up on fakes and phonies. They can tell, they can smell them from a mile away. So that's why it's important to really show up as the person that you are, and eventually you get caught out. If you're lying, if you're not being who you really are, you get caught out. And I also feel that on a kind of a coaching level, when I do one-on-ones, a lot of people hold themselves back. They get in their own way because of their beliefs, or they don't move forward because of their beliefs, their limiting beliefs. And so I feel like when you're more transparent, when you're honest with yourself, when you accept that, okay, here in the past is my lesson, here in the present is my gratitude, and here in the future is excitement, there's something even better there, then you start to understand, well, okay, these things happened in the past, but I gave it meaning. And I think that a lot of people are still holding on to a shitty meaning that is not serving them, and they allow themselves and make a choice to live with a crappy limiting belief that holds them back for most of their life. And so when you're transparent, you're exercising that realization that, yeah, I've got some stuff going on here, and I'm okay to talk about it now. It's time to talk it out. You can't bottle things up. If you bottle things up, you hold yourself back.
Do you think this whole culture could have came from the kind of secret, the secret mindset where it's you've got to believe it before it occurs, or you fake it before you make it? That whole vibe, do you think that could be setting the precedent for almost like a mind trap to try and be someone you're not? Do you think it's like it's not written with a huge warning about what not to do?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely confusion. I feel like even in like the spiritual space,
Yeah.
there's a lot of confusing talk. I say to a lot of my friends that get really deep into spirituality, I'm like, just be like, understand what you're getting into, because it's funny. I've seen some people sitting there having a conversation back and forth. I'm like, this is like entertaining. I'm like, you guys are just contradicting the hell out of each other, but you're just trying to say a lot of fancy words like universe and the quantum physics of the metaphysics of the this and this and that, and it's like, listen to your words, listen to your language. Like, is it really making sense, right? And I get into conversations with people, and sometimes they'll stand and talk about the ego the whole time, and then I'll like listen, and I'll say, I don't think you quite understand what ego is, or I don't think, maybe you don't quite understand what is holding you back, and that's fine, but we'll pinpoint it and we'll work this out. And I go, let's take it back to the basics. Let's start asking practical questions, powerful practical questions. And it's just interesting to see when they start asking themselves questions in more of a practical and simplified way, instead of confusing themselves with all this, oh, it must be the ego, it must be the universe telling me this and this and that. Then they get results. They start to get results because it's like, try something different. If what you're saying and you're doing, it doesn't work, try something different.
What would be some of those questions that you might give someone who's like stuck in that mind trap?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, the mind trap really is. It's like, it's like, what can I do with this? What does this mean to me? How did I get here? If this is no longer serving me, what else could work? It's like we use our lazy brain quite often. We'd rather try and find somebody else to try and solve our problems instead of just asking ourselves like simple questions. And what I like to do with my students is really, with the Mind Strong Alliance, it's Mind Strong. It's like, how can you be Mind Strong where you don't need other people or external things to get you to where you need to be? It's like, here, yes, learn from me, but I want you to go away and I want you to ask yourself the questions you need to ask yourself so you can get better answers from yourself, so you can become more self-reliant. I think it's about self-reliance. The more you practice self-reliance, the stronger your mindset. So it's important, there's a lot of wishy-washy stuff that's out there, and people are overcomplicating things. So let's take it back to the basics.
I love that. It's so true as well. I think, from my experience, when you ask powerful questions, you get powerful results. And that's Socrates that said that, right?
Powerful answers. When you action on those powerful answers and you have a game plan, you get powerful results for sure. Yeah.
So every day I journal and I ask myself, like, I've got like 5 or 6 questions in the rotate, and just from that self-analysis and just taking the action to sit there with a journal every day, which I've done for 2.5 years, like the track that has changed the course of my life on is like insane.
Yeah.
Like, where I would be without asking those questions and without having that self-reflection, just in a journal has been so powerful. So it definitely resonates with me, that asking yourself questions, because that's being conscious. You're consciously asking yourself questions.
Yes.
To be unconscious is to float through life and just let it happen to you like a robot. Yeah. To become conscious is to take control and realize you are Neo in the Matrix, and by changing the questions, you change the outcomes.
Yes, 100%. And that's great that you ask yourself those questions, man. That's really great.
Thanks, my dude.
Well done.
So we got some quick fire questions for you.
Let's do it. I'm ready.
Okay. So we're starting with. So some of these are profane and some of these are profound. So it's just like mixing them so we can see different sides of you too.
Let's do it.
All right, cool. So, what 3 books have influenced you the most, and why?
Great question. There's so many books I've read. So, Peak by Anders Ericsson is an incredible book. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in the field of psychology and he works as a neuroscientist, and he's been in it for a very long time. He really broke down the whole 10,000 hour rule thing and was like, that's not really a rule. That's not really what I was saying when Malcolm Gladwell went and took it and turned it into that. The way he explained it all, it like really allowed me to like find clarity on how strong our minds can really become. Like the potential that we have with our own mindset is just like, it's incredible, man. It's absolutely incredible. We're able to to adapt so quickly if we can practice that and exercise it like a muscle, right? So Peak by Anders Ericsson. There's a book called I think it's called Black Hole or Black Hole Focus. I can't remember the author, but I remember he was saying that Stephen Hawking made this huge mistake when he told the world that black holes basically collapse things and destroy things. And he said that he admitted that recently he discovered that that's not true. That's actually quite the opposite, that anything that goes into a black hole is transformed. And just the concept itself, when I was like reading through this, and the whole concept is really like, how can you have that black hole focus, right? To really focus and narrow down on what it is, so you can be so effective and just to just maximize your results, because you're hitting that target dead on in any area of your life. So the whole, like, how, black hole focus, that was such a huge thing for me, and I believe it, because it's like, when I focus and just make that thing, that just the one thing for me to focus on, and I commit to it, I get results every time. If I'm just 10% energy over here, 10%, 5% over there, and I'm not giving something 100% energy, it takes longer and it's less effective, and I don't get the results that I desire.
And it's not going to be as unique.
Exactly, yeah. You're not going to give it the energy that it needs to be something incredible in this world.
Which then comes back to attention and focus.
100%, yeah. So Black Hole Focus. The third book would have to be, and this isn't a book, it was Tony Robbins' Personal Power. It's an audio program that I listen to over and over again, driving to and from work.
Same, I was
ready to just leave, leave the day job, and just listening to his voice every day. I mean, I can't read his books, to be honest. I get so much energy from hearing his electric voice that I'm just like, that lights me up, fires me up. So reading a book, it's like I'm trying to read it in Tony's voice in my head to like fire me up, but it's just not the same. So any of his audio programs are incredible, and they're really the three game changers lately that come to mind. I mean, I've read 50, 60, 70 other books, but yeah, it's a huge one.
I used to listen to Tony Robbins every morning. Tony, I think, has been a huge part in a lot of people's lives, isn't he?
He sure has.
Yeah.
Oh, one more as well. My mom gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad when I was 13 years old, and it really helped me to understand the whole concept of what it means to be an entrepreneur. And also, it really helped me with my business. The 4 quadrants: it's employed, self-employed, business owner, and investor. For the first 3 years of running Addicted to Success, I had a Superman complex. I didn't want to give any responsibilities to anybody else. I thought that, I do it perfectly and nobody else can do it perfect, which is so not true. And eventually I got to a point in my life where I had to bring somebody on, because I had to travel and I was doing, these other projects. And I brought him on, trained him up, and then we have expanded the team. And now it's like, I look at it, I'm like, why didn't I do this 5 years ago? I moved from employed to self-employed and stayed in self-employed for 3 years. Now I'm a business owner and obviously investment as well, and an investor as well. And yeah, that book definitely changed the way that I do business and how I've structured my life and my career. Yeah.
That's an incredible book.
Yeah.
What bad habits do you want to break?
Well, I could probably cut back on drinking alcohol. That would probably be a really good one that could serve me in such a great way. I go through my phases, but yeah, that's a bad habit for sure.
What habits have helped you most on your journey?
Self-development, exercise, meditation, yeah. All of those integrated, man. Healthy eating, yeah, anything to do with the mind and the body is really where I'm at, Any way that I can optimize, yeah. And like prayer too, it's good to do that, man. It's good to check in with someone that's higher than yourself, and not make it this mission and this journey all about you. It's really important. On stage yesterday, I said, let's start practicing holiness, not happiness. Everyone's trying to get to happy. Happy will come with holiness if your holiness is serving others, of service, right? So like focus more on holiness. How can I serve more? How can I be more? How can I give more? When you give big, you live big. That's how it is. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so what's the biggest truth that you've ever learned in your life that you wouldn't normally share with people?
My biggest truth would have to be that there are no excuses, and that I'm the only one that's holding myself back from where I want to be. That's my biggest truth. It's easy to go to the excuses. It's easy to say, well, it's this or it's that. Nah, it's not. So yeah, for me, it's getting out of my own way and stop faking the funk. Like, get real with yourself, you know? That's important.
Oh. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 3 things would you take with you?
I think I've answered this one before, and what was it? It was like a music player, right? Some form of like a laptop that's like, you know, is highly charged. That I can charge, right?
So you got like a solar panel with it?
Music. Yeah, solar panel.
Solar panel.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's 2 things, maybe 2 things.
No,
that's cool. A pen and a pad. And that would be, even if nobody's ever going to read what I wrote, it would just keep me sane to write, because I love writing and journaling.
What about the laptop?
We talked about journaling before. No, I like pen and pad. Right. Something different. Right. You take that with you. It's different.
I'm the same. I'm old school.
And the third thing would be. That's a great question. It's such a great question. The third thing would have to be.
You got your laptop. You got
I
your
got my laptop. I got my pen and pad. Third thing would be. Photo album of my family.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You know, so I can remember, you know, my family and the people that are closest to me that I love, and they love me back. And I mean, that's why we're here. Like I said, you know, we're here to connect and to live and love. And it'd be great to have that reminder there. Yeah.
That's beautiful, and it's so true as well, because it is the people around us that have the most effect on us. That's what gives us, at least gives me my energy, and seeing the effect that by me stepping out and me stepping up, without having to do anything or say anything, it has an effect on everyone else in our lives. You know, like all your friends on Facebook, everything you post is having an effect on them. So the effect that we have on those closest to us is often the hugest. Yeah, it's often the biggest. That's beautiful.
For sure.
I've got pictures of my family everywhere when I'm traveling. As soon as I get out, I get my suitcase out and get my little pictures out. And
that's awesome.
Even when you're away from home in different places, it's nice to see that.
Yeah.
And, I actually have a little sticky note on the side of it which says, "Don't cheat us out of your contribution." So when that voice pops up, that tries to stop us from stepping into that, the imposter, which is always trying to protect us. I get that. But just that little reminder, seeing that, I'm like, doing it for you guys.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I love hearing that. That's awesome.
So what's next for you, Joel?
What's next for me is quite a bit more travel, traveling all around the world, expanding with the mastermind that I'm running, the Mind Strong Alliance, and then eventually Rise Up the movie is coming out October 2016, so this year. And
where can we find about that?
Yeah, go to riseupthemovie.com. And you can check out the trailer there.
The trailer is
it's pretty epic. Yeah.
If you want to get like hyped up on life right now,
the trailer's awesome. I saw a rough cut of the film so far a few weeks back, and the film's something else, man.
Yeah,
it's something else. Yeah. The trailer doesn't even do it justice. Like, it's gonna be amazing.
That is like the documentary that I'm the number one documentary that I'm looking forward to coming out this year.
Nice. So there's that, and then next year I'll be touring around the world holding my Mind Strong events. So, which I'm really looking forward to. Writing a book right now at the moment. So I've been kind of hacking away at the book, and it's cool because it's like I've been writing and putting it in when I'm getting these awesome, amazing like jolts of inspiration. It's not a book where it's like, oh, you got 6 months to write this book, write it. So nothing's really forced. It's just like all this inspiration is coming to me, and I'm doing it piece by piece, and then I'm going to tie it all together and make it make sense. So I'm excited to eventually put the book out, and everyone keeps asking me. It's like, could be a year from now, could be 2 years. I don't care. Like, I really don't care. I want it to be a classic. I want it to really hit people, and I want it to be valuable content. And yeah, just trust and believe that once it's out there, it'll grow its legs and do what it needs to do and be in the right hands. But you know, I'm in a beautiful place where I get to create every day. And so if that's something that lights you up, if that's what fascinates you, find a way in your life, find a strategy, cast your 10-year vision, game plan, and start actioning it so you can get to a place where you can be more creative and you have more freedom.
Like you do now.
Like me, yeah. It's changed my life, changed many lives as well in the process.
So where can people find you? Where's the best place for people to connect with you? Because I know that you do love connecting with your audience, so where's the best place that people can... Facebook.com/JoelBrownOZ, like Oz for Aussie, right? Nice.
And
as if they didn't guess.
Yeah. And you know, IamJoelBrown.com is my main Joel Brown website. I Am Joel Brown is my Instagram, my Twitter. Yeah, so hit me up on there. And obviously Addicted to Success, addicted with the number 2 success. It's on, you know, everywhere: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
The websites and the articles are dope as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Joel, man.
Thank you, mate.
Massively appreciate you
Thanks
coming
for
down.
having me, man.
Thank you for joining us today. We're so grateful. Grateful for freaking Joel coming down here. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks,
yeah,
man.
hell yeah.
When teachers would tell me, you know, you need 20 years of repeating this mantra before you're at a level of purity, before you can realize the enlightenment and begin the actual journey, I was like, hell no. They don't know better than me. I don't care if they have 35 years of meditation experience. This voice in me sounds so true. I'm gonna trust only this. So if you can understand desire without filtering it through the lack belief, you see that desire is this pure love-making impulse from the Creator to all of its portions. If I open my conscious mind up to the understanding that everything is possible and that I'm already as complete of a being as I'm ever going to be, I suddenly, something relaxes, some tension, some sense of separation relaxes, and I have sudden access to basically anything that I desire.